If ready, we can start to webinar. I will check one by one. Miss Anja, okay?
Yes, okay.
Miss In,
Yes, I am.
Mrs. Ririn,
Okay.
Miss Maha, Dr. Maha.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Desi, Miss Desi. This is Eva. Ready?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Good morning.
Sorry, Mr. Rizky said that she will change the laptop first. So never mind. We can go. We can run today. And Mr. Iswanto, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. If I think if all is ready, we can start now. Before this time, maybe we pray together first because this is the first webinar international that we do. So for all to this time we pray first. Okay, to pray, please. Okay, thank you. I hope this agenda will be planned for the first until the end. Thank you. For the time, I give to Master of Ceremony, to Miss In. This time is yours. Please, thank you.
Yes, thank you for Miss Suprilia. Maybe please share screen the rule of webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our International Webinar 2020. Here, I will read the rule of following the International Webinar 2020. For the first, all participants kindly mute the microphone during the webinar. The second, the participants are able to deliver the question to our professional speakers via chat or via chat on YouTube or in Zoom. Please write down your name, institution, address for who this question is, and your question. This webinar is recorded and live streamed on YouTube channel. Please kindly subscribe and like our YouTube channel. And the last one is please fill your presence and evaluations which already given by the committee before and during the webinar begin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, selamat pagi. Honorable, the head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, Mrs. Dr. Ririn Probowati, Master of Health, and for all vice of heads of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, for the first vice, Mrs. Dr. Sestu Retno Dwi Andayani, and the second vice is Mr. Miftahul Huda, and the third vice is Mrs. Khalifah. Honorable, the Chief Committee of International Webinar 2020, Mrs. Suprilia Praningsih, Master of Nursing. The Honorable, the Head Department of Nursing Bachelor, Mrs. Santi Rosmaharani, Master of Nursing. The Honorable, the Head Department of Nurse Profession, Mrs. Pepin Naharyani, Master of Nursing. To be proud, all of webinars committee and all participants in Zoom and YouTube. Alhamdulillah, first of all, let us pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of his blessing and grace, even though we are in the COVID-19 pandemic, we can see together in the best condition today, namely International Webinar 2020, which is implemented by Department of Nursing Bachelor and Nurse profession of Stikes Pemkab Jombang. The theme of this webinar is COVID-19, the role of healthcare and professional.
SKM MPH yang terhormat.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the International webinar. Here, we proudly present our professional speakers who have opportunity in today's International webinar. For the first, I will introduce Ms. Dr. Tri Maharani, Master of Science, Emergency Medicine Specialized as a keynote speaker. For our invited speakers, welcome to the first Ms. Eva Philip Dimok, Master of Science in Public Health, Master of Science in Genetic Counseling. Welcome to Ms. Eva. For the second, Mr. Rizky Erwanto, Master of Nursing, Community Nursing Specialized. Welcome to Mr. Rizky. And the third is Mr. Iswanto Karso, Registered Nursing Master of Science. Welcome to Mr. Iswanto. And the fourth is Ms. Madiha Muhtar, Master of Science in Nursing. Ladies and gentlemen, on this happy occasion, let me deliver and order an event today, the arrangement of international webinar as follows. For the first is opening, the second is singing March Stikes Pemkab Jombang, the third is opening and welcoming speech by our head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and the next is the webinar topic presentation by our keynote speaker. The keynote speaker is Ms. Tri Maharani, Master of Science, Specialized Emergency. And of course, will be followed by question and answer. And this important discussion will be continue after this for plenary discussion and question and answer. And the last one is closing. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the second agenda, which is singing March Stikes Pemkab Jombang. Please, all of the audience, give the attention.
Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Kesehatan Pemkab Jombang, institusi yang menjanjikan, berprogram nasional jadi kebanggaan, menyongsong masa depan kita. Suasana menyejukkan, amat kebanggaan, profesional pembelajaran, kuasai ilmu tinggi dan tenaga ahli, handali upaya usaha, teknologi yang handal, mentapkan di era global, penelitian ilmiah, membuat semua jadi mudah, bersatu padu, budayakan sehat untuk masyarakat, bersama janji dharma bakti, maju jayalah Stikes Pemkab Jombang.
Thanks for the attention. We are going to the next agenda. I invite the head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang to give opening and welcoming speech in our international webinar. Please, Mrs. Dr. Ririn Probawati, Master of Health, time and place are yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Iin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, greeting to all us. A very warm greeting from Stikes Pemkab Jombang. Excellency, the Honorable Speaker, Excellency of the Faculty Ambassador, Excellency of the Honorable Civitas Academica Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and all the belief participants. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Because of his blessing, we were able to in this international webinar 2020 COVID. The healthcare professional conduct Stikes Pemkab Jombang. As Chief of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, I would like to welcome the Honorable Speaker, Mrs. Tri Maharani from FSA Temporary SAUO, Mrs. Eva Demok from Philippines, Mr. Rizky Ervanto from University Rispati, Yogyakarta, Mr. Iswanto Karso from Stikes Pemkab Jombang, Mrs. Madika Mokhtar from Pakistan, and all belief participants, as well as express my honor and gratitude for joining this webinar. Stikes Pemkab Jombang welcome you all to have fruitful discuss throughout the agenda. Since the 2016, Stikes Pemkab Jombang has been involved in many international programs with many universities across the globe. Since then, Stikes Pemkab Jombang has strived to be an international, recognized higher international education fund continuous improving in academic quality in facility and expanding its networking with many universities in Southeast Asia, such as Malaysia and Thailand. The webinar topic range from COVID-19 stigma, Philippine health pandemic, role of community health nurse, physiological response. These webinar topics aim to equip the healthcare professional knowledge in terms of coping the COVID-19. Throughout this program, I encourage each of you to stay engaged, be proactive and collaborative and innovating solution and current health issue, the happening in your surrounding. In personally, expect there will be more idea, argument, suggestion, and diverse opinion, and answering the global health challenge. Last but not least, I would like to answer again humble welcome all of you to our webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to Mrs. Dr. Ririn Probowati for your welcoming speech for us. Before we are going to the next event, let's take a picture first. This picture was taken by Mr. Frederick. Mr. Frederick, are you ready to take a picture?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. Please, all of the audience to turn on your video. All of the audience in Zoom in, please turn on your video because Mr. Frederick will take a picture.
Okay, slide 1. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Finish, Mr.
Slide 2, wait, slide 2.
Okay.
Please, camera on.
Yes, please. Audience, turn on the camera.
1, 2, 3. Slide 3. Slide 4. Yes, finish.
Finish. Thank you, Mr. Frederick. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the next event. But before we are going to the presentation of our keynote speaker, please we say pray to our God in order this program can run smoothly from begin and the end. Okay, the Let's pray, begin. Okay, finish. Now we are going to the second event. This is the material from our keynote speaker, Miss Dr. Tri Maharani, emergency medicine specialist. For all of the audience, you can ask the question from chat on YouTube or in Zoom in. I will read the curriculum vitae of Miss Maha. Miss Maha was born on August 31, 1971. Tomorrow, Miss Maha will celebrate her birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Maha.
Thank you.
Okay, for the email is hanarani_71@yahoo.com. Miss Maha live in Dr. Wahidin number 35, Kediri, Indonesia. Her phone number is 085-334-0304009. Miss Maha office in Kediri, East Java. She became head of emergency department of Daha Husada Hospital. From her current career is emergency medicine specialized at the Department of Emergency Medicine, advisor temporary of WHO, President Indonesia Toxinology. For her field of interest, Miss Maha interest in toxinology, biomedic, disaster, immunology, and cardiac emergency. From her education at 1990 until 1996, Miss Maha finished her Bachelor of Medicine in Faculty of Medicine, University of Brawijaya, Indonesia. 1996 until 1998, medical doctor of Saiful Anwar General Hospital, Faculty of Medicine, Brawijaya University, and 2001 until 2003, postgraduate immunology, Faculty of Medicine, Airlangga University, 2007 until 2011, she becomes specialized training program in emergency in Saiful Anwar Hospital. For 2019 and 2017, she took a clinical toxinology course, University Adelaide, same in 2017 and 2019. From her research and publication, Ms. Maha has many course, has many experience in publication and in research. Yeah. In 2008 until 2015, her experience in course is very much. Okay. Okay. Next, for her publication, for her research is also. Okay. For Miss Maha, are you ready to deliver us an amazing topic about COVID-19 pandemic for health professional, for nurse and midwife? Are you ready, Miss Maha?
Okay, I'm ready.
How are you, Miss Maha?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah.
And hello, everybody. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Miss Maha.
And this morning I have the title of my presentation about professionalism healthcare in COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's an important topic.
Very important.
Time. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think many participants in this symposium have the benefit of this symposium. Okay. I share my presentation.
Yes.
It's okay?
It's okay, Miss.
And all participants. Yeah. Who is the professional medical in Indonesia? I think the medical profession in Indonesia is a physician, physician assistant, a nursing, therapist, diagnosis, and exercise. But physician, I am a physician,
Yes.
have the working to examine patient, obtain the medical history, order the many tests. I think if the disease have many tests to the diagnosis, and the perform if the surgery need the surgery and treat disease and disorder and teach preventive of the health and this disease. Is the working physician in professional work and the assistant physician to also work under supervision of the physician, take medical history, perform routine physical examination, order basic diagnostic tests and exercise. And the nursing. Nursing have the provided to provided care for patient as directly by physician. I think is a team, and nursing can focus on the mental, emotional, and physical physician the need the patient, and preparation and credential needed. I think all the professional health worker must have preparation, high school, post-secondary, associate, bachelor, master of doctoral or professional, and have the credential, certificate, licensee, registration, and the other. It's the basic of professional and credential professional health worker in Indonesia. And I think have the ethic characteristic. What the professional characteristic? Appearance, attitude, and action is very important. You know, if the not good the appearance, I think not good also if you're working in the hospital or the mini hospital or in the department of the health. And the ethical consideration also. You must know definition of ethic, code of the conducts, confidentially, professionally of ethic. I think it's very, very important in the working of the professional medical. Appearance, how should a healthcare worker? Health, professional appearance, uniform. If you don't make the uniform, is the important condition and the personal hygiene. I think it's very important to medical professional and worker in the hospital or the department of health. Attitude and action. Attitude and action is very important also. I think the now is Indonesia famous film is say empathic. Empathic is being able to identify with and understand the feeling, situation, and the motivation for the patient. And honesty, dependability, patency, and acceptance of the critic, I think is very important. And enthusiasm for the display of positive attitude. And tech is having the ability to say or do the kindness and competency, responsibility, and team player. I think it's very important in the situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. Attitude and action have the potential to the many problem and the professional working and the medical. Ethic and confidentially need the all professional medical know if the good working in the hospital, in the mini hospital, or in the community. Now, I think the pandemic global-19 global situation. You know, all the place in the world, now the problem, the first problem is COVID-19. All country, I think. And many patients in all the world that morbidity to the COVID-19. COVID-19, if you know the overview of the COVID virus, it's the same SARS-CoV virus 2, same coronavirus. I remember in the 2003 and 2017, Indonesia have many problem also, but different with the now. 2003 SARS, I think only 1 until 2 weeks only, and no patient all. And the 2017 MERS-CoV in Indonesia also, and the many country, but no patient in Indonesia. I think it's very a few patient. The COVID-19 is the family coronavirus. In fact, both human and animals. And the sign and symptom very, very similar. I am working in the emergency department. Every day, many patients with the influenza come to my emergency department. And the sign and symptom very, very same with the COVID-19. Cold, fever, shortness of breath, pain of the throat, and the other. I think every doctor, every nurse meet the patient the same symptom and sign. And mode of transmission. You look, the mode of transmission, droplet, contact, and in the end of the month, the WHO asks about the aerosol transmission. You must to hand hygiene, wear of masks, physical distancing, and stay at home to prevention. I think the professional medical, no, the prevention is very important to Indonesia to reduction case of COVID-19. Okay, I have the special case. It's myself because I am a patient COVID-19 in June. You look, it's my home in Kediri. My home is a family home. I living with my sister and this family. I have the big home, and you know it's the very, very important and risk to the transmission of the COVID-19. This day, I have one patient with the COVID-19. It's my staff, laundry staff, and I help him to go to the hospital, the near town with my town. And 5 days after it, I am positive COVID-19. And after this day, I have to thinking to go to hospital to isolation in hospital because the risk of my family is very big if I am isolation in my hospital. You look this situation. Nobody in this way. All my neighbor afraid to outside from this home because afraid with me. It's the first stigma. I think the stigma of the COVID-19 very hard in Indonesia. I was isolation in this hospital, in the isolation room, and the activity every day. I must to physical physical activity in the outside with the sun, with the all patient. It's the all patient from the cluster of the other company in cigarette company in Kediri. 15 patients with me in this time. And the isolation hospital is not good condition because I am only in this room alone, and no patient with me in the same room, no family come because isolation also, and I have meet this nurse help me in the 8 hour only one time also. It's a very difficult time. And you know, in this 10 days, my result of the PCR swab is negative. And I know it's the time to, I am very, very happy because I know I am survived and I am a survivor COVID-19. I am not too sad, but it's difficult to the first and until the third days, the diagnosis positive. But I have the innovation to helping many patients with COVID-19 after me, and empathic greeting from the many people. And I want to send and all my friend in the COVID-19 also with the empathic greeting, and the care pack survivor COVID also. I make the care pack to support many friend, many patient, and many nurse also, because the nurse have the stigma also. If the helping many patient with COVID, many friend from the nurse also afraid to meet and the living with the nurse. I think it's the difficult situation, the stigma and the professional medical status. And the end of my presentation, I share to all of you the story of my life, the story of survivor doctor COVID-19. I think to time to the COVID-19 make me to empathic, make me to humanity to many patient COVID-19, and want to give them to support. I want to all of the COVID-19 patient survive and not death or not morbidity. I think the professional medical must give support to the patient, to the all friends to working in the COVID-19 time pandemic. Okay, I am end of my presentation. If the have the question to me, I think the please to chat to wrote writing to the answer question and answer in this and this in the place in the in this symposium,
Yes. Thank you for Miss Maha for your kind sharing to me, to us, that you ever been positive in COVID-19. Is it right? And yeah. And then, but your PCR result is negative. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. I am start to working.
Yes.
1 month, and after the result of 4 times to the negative from the PCR. Yeah, I'm 4 times to swab PCR.
Yeah. And how about your family, Miss Maha?
Yeah, my family
negative
all
also?
my negative also, and my staff and my emergency department also. But I have one patient in the laundry. Is this transmission to me? The positive. But now is the survive also.
Yes, keep survive.
I share because this presentation, the nurse, the physician have the important support to the patient. I think the COVID-19, we all must support it to all patient, all the medical working and professional working. I think it's the important to condition in Indonesia much supported.
Supported.
The medical community, patient, and
our society, Miss.
Yeah.
And what did you do in 10 days isolation after you have a confirmation in positive? You said that you are in 10 days isolation. Yeah. What did you do, Miss, at the time?
I have many activity. This picture, I shared this pic. I am to the physical activity every day. With the all patient COVID-19 in this isolation room.
Yes.
To the saying the physical activity and look sun every day. Look sun.
Yes.
1 hour only to the. I don't know this evidence base, but the evidence base, the sun good to the reduction the virus. Yes, okay lah. I am a doctor, a specialist doctor, but I am in this time I'm a patient. I must okay all the
and you believe
policy.
it.
I don't know believe or not, but but this time give me time to interaction with the other patient, and I give supported all, and I am support me also.
Yes,
because if the meet all the people, it's the gift to survive this condition. I think it's very important.
Okay, Miss Maha, maybe I announce to all of the audience, if you don't, if you can't ask the question in English, you can ask the question in Indonesia. I will translate it into English, ya. Oke, maybe
misalnya pakai Indonesia saja nggak apa-apa.
Pakai Indonesia nggak apa-apa ya, Miss?
Saya kira partisipan di sini kebanyakan orang Indonesia ya, tapi untuk question and answer nggak apa-apa. Kalau ada bahasa Indonesia saya jawabnya.
Okay, Miss Maha, this is a question from our senior, Mrs. Ratna Puji Priyanti. This is the question.
It's my good friend.
Yes, your good friend. And okay, what is your expectation support from government as a survivor of COVID-19 and the volunteer of COVID-19 also? What is your expectation?
Yeah. I think it's a difficult situation.
Yes.
Because I know the humanity different with the politics.
Yes, of course.
And this first time I am positive.
Yes.
I wrote a letter to the Minister of Health, Dr. Terawan. And I wrote the letter also, the WhatsApp to the Dr. Yuryanto, because Dr. Yuryanto long time ago is head of the disaster, and I am a professional disaster. I am a emergency physician, and all time I meet him in many disaster, and I wrote letter to the change the many policy. One change to the screening of the patient COVID-19. I think rapid is the good test, but not to the diagnosis. I think the diagnosis, but WHO policy, the diagnosis is a PCR swab.
Yes.
And I asked him to give many screening to all Indonesia to diagnosis. I think now is the guideline 5 and speak rapid to the diagnosis is good, because the swab is the diagnosis, a gold standard diagnosis of COVID-19.
Yes.
And after I am back to my home, I make group of survivor 19 support with the group to collaboration many people, the doctor, nurse, and the journalist, and the epidemiologist, and the other. To every day, yeah, to the evaluation, the policy of government or policy or associate doctor and the other. Because we know this time is very important to Indonesia.
Yes.
Saya tahu kita tidak ingin punah kan karena COVID.
Yes.
Nah ini saya ngomong
Of
bahasa
course.
Indonesia
Of
supaya
course,
yang dari
Miss.
luar negeri nggak tahu apa yang saya omongkan. Kita nggak boleh punah oleh COVID-19. Sehingga yang saya inginkan adalah nggak apa-apa kita perbaiki semua kebijakan yang salah-salah itu nggak apa-apa. Karena namanya ini sesuatu yang berubah. The COVID-19 is very mystery of the virus. I think many researchers don't know the characteristics of the COVID-19. Dan saya tahu karena ini sesuatu virus yang baru, tentunya tidak banyak hal yang diketahui oleh all researcher all the world. Dan saya pikir semua policy itu gak apa-apa ganti-ganti. Tetapi memang harus mempunyai goal is the humanity. Untuk reduction death of the patient. Jadi bukan untuk sebuah golongan yang mengutamakan masalah uang. Karena nyawa manusia harganya itu tidak terbatas.
Yes,
nah, jadi memang menurut saya inilah yang harus kita ingatkan. Pemerintah memang punya banyak sekali pekerjaan ya. Dan Indonesia I think the 504 island. Sangat banyak sekali. Iya, 280 juta.
Yes.
Nomor 4 di dunia penduduk. Ya pasti mumetnya itu banyak.
Banyak. Masalahnya banyak ya, Miss.
Ya, jadi saya rasa memang kita harus supportif pemerintah dengan memberitahu apa yang ternyata di daerah-daerah, di grassroots itu susah diterapkan. Nah, jadi memang itulah yang kami lakukan sampai hari ini dan sekarang ini kami lagi membuat pusara digital untuk setiap nakes yang meninggal. Supaya ada pengingat untuk mereka. Saya tidak ingin mereka itu tidak diingat. Dan ketika diketahui 20 tahun lagi, 100 tahun lagi, bahwa ada tenaga-tenaga medis yang menjadi pahlawan dan mengorbankan dirinya di COVID-19 2020. Nah, jadi I think it's very, very important. I think much Indonesian people must know this time is very important, and this time the filter humanity of the many people. Jadi rasa kemanusiaan itu difilter di sini. Kalau dia enggak punya rasa kemanusiaan, dia akan mengambil untung di sini.
Iya, betul. Politikalnya mulai. Oke.
Ya, jadi tugas kita nih sekarang adalah mensupport pada semua orang, pada teman-teman kita, pasien kita, teman-teman medis, dan juga semua orang yang sedang berjuang untuk COVID-19. I think support is very important this time.
Okay, very important, Miss Maha. Thank you. I think enough for the question from Miss Ratna. And we are going to the second question, Miss Maha. The question from Mr. Muhammad Fatoni.
Oh yeah, yes, my best friend also.
Maybe Miss Maha know well who is Mr. Fatoni. Okay, Mr. Fatoni asked about how about family support to reduce stress and depression during pandemic COVID-19.
Oh, that's good question.
Yes.
I know many people with the COVID-19 and patient COVID-19 have the problem about family. I think the government must have the support, the program to support family patient COVID-19. Karena yang kena stigma itu bukan pasiennya saja, tapi keluarganya, lingkungannya, RT, RW, kelurahan, camat sampai kotanya. Nah, jadi memang I think my government must have the program. Collaboration with the psycholog, collaboration with psychiater, the nursing and the other. Karena ini adalah sebuah problem yang akan menyangkut kesehatan mental. Jadi stigma yang terjadi di sebuah keluarga memang akan menentukan langkah bangsa kita ini selanjutnya. I think the stigma in the family must reduction. And I think many program from the government must to helping this family with the patient COVID-19. Contohnya beberapa hari ini saya dapatkan satu keluarga itu, jadi bapak, anak, bapak sama istrinya, sama dua ponaannya itu, yang bapak, istri sama ponaannya ini positif. Yang satu ponaannya ini negatif. Bagaimana memisahkan mereka? Kalau isolasi di rumah. Nah, gampang aja kita bilang isolasi di rumah, kan tidak ada gejala. Tapi bagaimana memisahkan mereka? Mereka tinggal di rumah susun. Untuk disuruh kos yang negatif itu gak mungkin juga. Untuk disuruh pergi ke rumah sakit, untuk yang 3 orang mereka tidak ada gejala. Dimana kalau sekarang tidak ada gejala, tidak boleh masuk rumah sakit, ya kan? Nah, jadi I think the program from government must to include all problem this family with patient COVID-19 and have the solution. Saya kira kata-katanya Bu Tejo benar, harus solutif,
ya,
harus
betul.
solutif, kemudian harus ini empati dan juga harus punya hati nurani. Saya pikir ini yang dibutuhkan oleh bangsa kita. Dan saya terima kasih Mas Fatoni karena itu akan menolong kita semua untuk terus berupaya untuk mengingatkan harus ada program seperti itu atau kita mulai dari diri kita sendiri. Tadi yang saya lakukan akhirnya 3 orang keluarga tadi yang positif, kemudian saya kirim ke Wisma Atlet dengan segala macam upaya, meskipun awalnya nggak boleh. Tapi kemudian kami nego dan sebagainya dengan segala macam upaya, akhirnya mereka pergi ke Wisma Atlet karena rumahnya itu rusun Marunda yang sangat berdesak-desaan dan sangat kumuh. Dan 1 orang yang negatif itu tetap di rumah. Kenapa? Karena kalau tidak, dia bisa dilempari rumahnya oleh teman-teman rusun yang lain, tetangga yang lain. Nah, I think have the solution. Dan sekarang nih kami semua lagi membuat solusi-solusi itu. Kalau teman-teman yang ada di webinar ini mau bergabung, monggo dengan cara apapun. Dan ini tidak butuh duit, hanya butuh kepedulian saja. Kalau mau ikut dalam program kami silahkan, nanti bisa kita add di lapor COVID ya, atau nanti di grup survival kami untuk mensupport orang-orang yang lain di seluruh Indonesia. Atau mungkin di Jombang dulu dimulai, bisa itu.
Ya, oke. Oke. Thank you for Mr. Muhammad Fatoni for the question. No. Okay, I want to ask for you, Miss Maha.
Yeah.
Actually, when will the COVID-19 end?
In my experience, I hope October.
Yes. October will end.
Yeah. But yesterday I am discussion with the more epidemiolog. Iqbal Eliasar, Pandu Riono, the famous epidemiolog in Indonesia, yeah, I think.
Yes.
They asked me 2 years.
Yes.
I think if 2 years is the difficult time and hard problem to the medical worker in Indonesia. Kenapa? Kita semua ini akan ada dalam sebuah kelelahan yang luar biasa. Lelah jasmani, lelah rohani. Jadi, I hope the end of the pandemic COVID-19 is October or September. I hope the time to end of the pandemic. Jadi saya tuh pinginnya besok pagi sudah berakhir. Gitu.
Yeah, same as me, Miss. Okay, maybe any question again from Zoom? No. It is from Miss Eva Dimok. Thank you, Miss Marlita.
Yeah, from Philippines. Hello, Miss Eva.
Yeah, this is Miss Marlita can't hear the audio. I don't know. How about their speaker? Maybe from the setting, yeah, Miss Marlita. Yeah, because there is no sound there. Yeah. Okay. Based on Miss Maharani experience, say that October will end this COVID-19.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we already feel bored and tired to work at home and school from home, ya, Miss.
Ya. Jadi menurut saya kita ini ada di masalah susah. Kalau saya keluar dari rumah ini, di luar tuh gak ada yang pakai masker, ya enggak?
Yes, same as
Jombang
my
sama enggak?
society,
Nah,
yes.
gak ada yang physical distancing dan ini akan menjadi PR homework, the hard homework to the medical worker.
Okay, homework for the medical. I don't know, maybe there is a punishment, yeah, if someone who don't wear a mask will pay 200,000 or more, gitu mungkin ya.
In the first day I am positive COVID-19, I wrote letter from the minister and I wrote letter to the vice of the 9 commission DPR the senator DPR RI ya, Komisi 9 DPR RI. Saya menuliskan pesan kepada Bang Melki, wakil Komisi 9 DPR RI. Waktu itu akhirnya di-share oleh Pak Sarmuji, anggota DPR RI. Nah, saya mengatakan bahwa harusnya punishment pada orang-orang yang melanggar protokol kesehatan untuk COVID-19 itu adalah menjadi relawan di rumah sakit, relawan di puskesmas, biar dia tahu bahwa orang sakit itu beneran dan ini bukan sebuah rekayasa hanya karena kita ingin dapat klaim besar. Mana? Enggak, itu enggak ada artinya uang dibanding nyawa, begitu. Dan itu juga sebuah hoax sebetulnya, yang menyudutkan kita para tenaga kesehatan di sebuah posisi difficult situation. Karena many people look, many money.
From province and our government gitu ya, Miss ya.
But kita tahu sendiri sampai sekarang sudah dibayar belum?
I don't know.
Nah, jadi ini memang menurut saya punishment penting. Saya sudah mengusulkan hari itu punishment jangan yang berat-berat, uang dan sebagainya jangan. Justru nanti bermasalah. Jadikan aja mereka pekerja sosial. Kalau mereka melanggar pakai masker 1 hari, kalau mereka melanggar di physical distancing 2 hari, kalau mereka membuat hoax 1 minggu, kalau mereka membuat program yang aneh-aneh, misalnya membuat pesta perkawinan, macam-macam, 1 bulan kerja gratis di rumah sakit.
I hope our ministry
kita dapat pekerja tenaga gratis.
Tenaga gratis ya. I hope our ministry already read your letter, Miss.
Yes.
Sudah ya.
And the Minister of Health, Dr. Terawan, answer my WhatsApp.
Alhamdulillah.
Oke, Maha, I am monitor. Cuma saya tahu, meskipun Pak Menteri mengatakan begitu, untuk implementasi in the community is very difficult. Jadi butuh kerjasama. Menurut saya gini aja, yang di punishment selain orangnya adalah ininya juga, the stakeholder-nya. Karena kalau stakeholder-nya kena, pasti dia akan mempunishment community.
Okay, good discussion with Miss Tri Maharani.
Ya, semoga bisa mensupport supaya kita semangat kembali.
Of course. The bad effect of COVID-19 is a bad stigma from our society, from our neighbor and from our
mental disorder.
Mental disorder is.
I think the stigma make the many people with family and the patient COVID-19 have the mental disorder.
And make a worse condition ya, Miss ya. Buat bikin
difficult condition and I think it's not good condition to Indonesia.
Yes. Okay, the last question, Miss, from me. Because I'm not a medical practitioners. I am a lecturer. Yes. In my opinion is, what is your opinion about the condition? Maybe from our government open the theater, open the mall.
I think hot
What is your opinion?
hard homework to the medical practitioner.
Yes,
Saya tidak setuju dengan pembukaan. Maaf ya, bolehkah saya ngomong pakai bahasa Indonesia supaya yang di luar negeri tidak dengar ya. Hari ini, hanya ini situasi susah. Hari ini saya ini dulu kerja lama di Dinas Kesehatan Provinsi bagian P2. Nah, jadi kan memang ini kerjaannya P2 ya. Nah, saya ini surveillance dulu. Jadi hari ini teman saya yang surveillance bilang, Mbak Maha tolong didoain ya, hari ini aku harus ke Banyuwangi karena salah satu ponpes terbesar di sana harus tracing 4.700 orang. Karena sudah 199 yang positif. Coba bayangkan, itu ponpes. Di Kediri ini ponpes terbesar Lirboyo. Itu ribuan orang juga. Dan kemarin waktu tracing tuh anak buah saya tuh sudah kelelahan.
Oke.
Jombang punya ponpes terbesar. Nah, itu teman saya ada di sana. Bunda Rim itu dan di ponpesnya apa itu Tebu Ireng ya.
Iya.
Nah, jadi menurut saya dengan dibukanya sekolah, dibukanya teater, bioskop, dibukanya pasar, memang untuk hal-hal ini orang butuh ekonomi, tapi nyawa lebih berharga dari ekonomi.
Yes. Oke.
Jadi menurut saya ini akan menjadi PR yang sangat-sangat berat untuk kita. Moga-moga Jombang nggak ada ya ponpesnya ya. Soalnya berat ponpes orangnya. Iya.
Oke. Okay, Miss Maha, nice discussion with you. I'm sorry because the time is enough.
Time, but me too.
Okay. Miss Maha, thank you very much for your kind sharing to me your experience. See you in the next meeting, in the next event, Miss Maha.
See you all, and I'm very interesting to this meeting. Okay, success.
Yes, thank you, Miss Maha. Keep healthy and safe.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to the next event. Yeah. Now we move to the next event, which is plenary discussion of our webinar topic from all invited professional speakers. This event will be guided by our moderator, Mrs. Anja Hesniakolis, Medical Surgical Nursing Specialist. Okay. Before I give to Miss Anja, I will read the curriculum vitae of Miss Anja Hesniakolis. Anja Hesniakolis was born on September 2nd, 1988. She lived in Jalan Arya Wira Raja, Kecamatan Jombang, and she is married. She works in Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and her mobile phone is 081290486393, and for the email is hasniaanja@gmail.com. For the education experience, for the Bachelor of Nursing, Miss Anja took in Stikes Pemkab Jombang at 2011. For nurse practitioners in Stikes Pemkab Jombang also at 2012. For the Master of Nursing, Miss Anja was graduated from Faculty of Nursing University of Indonesia at 2015, and she continued this specialized in Faculty of Nursing, University of Indonesia at 2016. For the professional experience, Miss Anja became the junior lecturer at Stikes Pemkab Jombang at 2012 until 2013, and then become a lecturer at Stikes Pemkab Jombang from 2015 until now, and became the Secretary of Nurse Practitioners at Stikes Pemkab Jombang from 2017 until now, and become the Head of Medical, Surgical, and Critical Nursing Department from 2019 until now. For publication and presentation, Ms. Anja has many publication articles. In 2018 until now, there is a 2018, 2019. For community service, There is 5 community services that already done by Miss Anja, and of course the oral presentation. Okay, Miss Anja, how are you?
Okay, Miss In, yes,
Okay.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Anja, I give this event of plenary discussion to you. Time and place are yours, Miss Anja.
Thank you, Miss In, for the time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to International Webinar 2020, the entitled COVID-19, the role of healthcare professional. Let me introduce myself. My name is Anja, and I will serving as your moderator today. First of all, I would like to thank to Mrs. Dr. Ririn Prabhawati, Master of Health, as the head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and Mrs. Dr. Sestu Retno Dwi Andayani, Master of Health, as the vice head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and Mr. Miftahul Huda, Master Public Policy, as a vice head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and Mrs. Khalifah, Master of Health, as the vice head of Stikes Pemkab Jombang, and also Mrs. Pepin Nahariani, Master of Nursing, as the head of nursing program, and Mrs. Santi Rosmaharani, Magister Nursing, as the head of Bachelor Nursing program, and Mrs. Suprilia Praningsih, Magister Nursing, as the chair of committee, is the International Webinar 2020, and all audience for joining this International Webinar 2020. Before we start the presentation, I would like to read the sequence of the International Webinar 2020. The webinar is divided by into sessions. The first session is the presentation, and the second is discussion. And now I would like to invite the first invited speaker, Mrs. Eva Velip Dimok, Master of Science in Public Health and Master of Science Genetic Counseling. Hello, Miss Eva. Are you in the meeting room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. She from instructor of Provincial Mountain Province State Polytechnic College to present the Philippine health professional serving the people in this time of pandemic. Let me introduce invited speaker by reading the curriculum vitae. Mrs. Eva Velip Dimok from Filipino, date of birth is 6 April 1987, and this is the mobile phone and the email evavelipdimok@gmail.com. Next. The education program from background, Miss Eva Velip Dimok is Bachelor of Science in Nursing in Elders Kids College Solano Nova Viscaza, and the 2007 and 2008. And then the Bachelor of Science in Public Health in University of La Salle, Santiago City, Isabela, year graduate in 2011. And then a Master of Science in Public Health in University of Salle, Santiago City, Isabela, 2, in year graduate in 2013, and the Master of Science in Genetic Counseling in University of the Philippines, Manila. Year graduate is 2016. And then now she is Stokes Doctor of Philosophical in Public Health in Kaohsiung Medical University until now. Okay, let's just see together the many professional experience Mrs. Eva Velip Dimok from the Mountain Province State Polytechnic College is instructor, and then area field supervisor is field as a participant and from regional, local, and international. Okay, So Miss Eva, are you ready to present and sharing your topic today?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So Miss Eva Velibimok, the time is yours.
Let me share you my screen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can see.
I'll just see my pointer. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am Eva Felipe Dimog from the Philippines. Okay. For everyone, I just want to show you where I worked. I show this picture is a valley. It's like a valley. That's where I worked. Okay. So I want to show you this one because I would like to show you where I work, and this is the closer look of my school. It's the only school in the province who produce future future nurses. That's why I put this picture. And also it's interesting because brothers and sisters from your country, Indonesia, came to our school to share their researches last year in my school. So that's it. That's why I just showed you this picture. Okay, so the outline of my presentation would be the following: the COVID cases in the Southeast Asia and in the Philippines, how the World Health Organization assists my country, our Philippine government response, and the dual health delivery system of my country, and our cases as of August 25 when I prepared this presentation, the challenges that we experience in my country, and also the dedication of all health workers in my country amidst the threat of COVID-19, as well as my conclusion and references. Okay, so I showed you this one. This is the countries, 10 countries from the Southeast Asian nation. There are 10, and Indonesia is the biggest country. When you join the 9 countries, it seems like it's the whole of Indonesia, right? So my country is a very small country. For the background, Philippines is the 12th most populated in the world. And I think it's 8 in Asia and second most populated country in the Southeast Asian country. Now, this table shows the cases of COVID in my country. As you can see, we are the number 1. Okay, we have the most total cases of COVID. As of August 25, it's 197,164. When I just checked just now, and it's already climbed to 210,000. It's so many. And our deaths, we are the second highest to have the highest cases of death. But I'm happy to see that the recovered cases, out of the 197, there are 132,000 who recovered. So I guess maybe, I hope that 60,000 cases are on their way of recovery. For the total tests, we can see that our country conducted many testing already. However, when we use the total population to get the ratio of the total test capacity, still our country is behind. And you can see the Singapore, they tested per 1 million population, they tested 298,000 per 1 million. And my country is still very low. It's still 21,300. It's saddening. Okay. Now, the first COVID case in my country happened in January 30, which is a 38 female Chinese national that was reported by the Department of Health. And in March 7, 2020, that was the first confirmed local transmission of COVID-19. And since then, the World Health Organization worked closely with our Department of Health in responding with the COVID pandemic outbreak. Okay, so these are some of the assistance, like the World Health Organization mobilizes global stockpile of PPE to support priority countries like the Philippines. Also, they support the Research Institute of TopMed to enable performing the diagnostic testing for COVID-19. They also provided technical guidance on surveillance, patient management, and infection control. And as well as they support the planning and how to communicate risk and engage the public. Okay, for the Philippine government response on how they the effort for this COVID-19 pandemic, it was started last March because it was the first local transmission that was confirmed. First, in March, the government gave released a proclamation number 922 declaring public health emergency of our country and also employing the local government unit to use their local disaster risk reduction management fund to respond to COVID-19. Also, lockdown and enhanced community quarantine was released, and another proclamation number 929 was released stating that our country is under state of calamity for at least 6 months. And I highlighted here that in this proclamation, hazard allowance was stated to be given for public health workers and government personnel in the field of science and technology. It was also the time wherein an amount of 28.8 million pesos was raised by our Vice President and her office to purchase 64,368 personal protective equipment sets and was donated to frontline health workers. And firstly, it was given to 8 hospitals among 490 health workers. Okay, another effort done was providing an advance payment of 30 billion to PhilHealth, or our Philippine Health Insurance Corporation accredited facilities for healthcare provider to obtain the liquid capital required to efficiently respond to the crisis. A Republic Act was also released and published authorizing our President of the Republic to exercise necessary power for at least 3 months. So among these powers is to expedite or fast track the streamline or the testing kit capacity and the testing of the public, as well as the provision of special risk allowance for public health worker, in addition to hazard pay. As well as in this RA, they stated here a 100,000 pesos compensation to private and public health worker who died with COVID while in line of duty. So all of these efforts were made in the month of March. Also, an administrative order stating a 500 pesos for cash aid. Okay. In the following month, in April, salary donation for COVID-19 efforts were made by at least or volunteered by some of our elected officials like congressmen, senators, and our Republic President. An administrative order 28 was also released stating that special risk allowance will be paid to public health worker in addition to their hazard pay. Community quarantine was also declared, enhanced community quarantine duration in Luzon Island until April 30 and until May for the high-risk area. And a cash assistance of 57.8 billion has been deployed by the Social Welfare Department of our country to 103 local government units. Mass testing was also planned and conducted in the Philippines, making the Philippine Arena as the venue to open for swab sample collection and was processed by Philippine Red Cross. And other government effort was they suspend classes. They also advise education departments to conduct modular and online classes. There were travel restrictions as well, and also program of repatriation of overseas Filipino workers. In addition to health worker, Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police was also deployed to help in in regulating or at least to control the transfer of this infection. As well as in every local government unit, there was quarantine and isolation program effort that were made. For instance, I want to share you our small town in my country. This is Lamot Ifugao. It's a mountainous area, and one of the effort of our local government unit is to convert a tourism village. You can see here the native houses. In one native, they convert this into isolation and isolation area facility. One native house will house one person. Okay, in this time, my sister-in-law May offered tell me an interesting story that even quarantine individual in this time were also frontliners. They are volunteers helping in this time of pandemic. And one interesting story, one of the quarantine person is a skilled worker, a welder, and he made a sanitation area, like providing a stand for a container, soap and alcohol for the quarantine individual to sanitize themselves. Okay, go back to the local government effort. What they did is to convert this tourism village into a quarantine facility. They provided food and snacks to quarantine individuals and ensure the social distancing by providing one nipa hut to one person. Okay, and also the local health center do the rapid testing and issuance of medical certificate once the quarantine individual tested negative, and they can go home to their houses after 14 days of quarantine. Okay, these are the images. I just shared you the effort of our government. This is a picture of our president who pledged his 1 month salary, and this is our vice president of the Republic who raised funds from donation just for protective equipment for health workers. These are also the pictures showing that soldiers and the police were deployed also to help health workers in monitoring and having checkpoints. Okay, these were the picture also showing the cash aid that were given to people who lost the job and for the constituents who are in the lowest wage rates. These are some of the beneficiary of social amelioration program. Okay, and this is our dual health delivery system. I say dual because our Philippines is divided into public sector and private sector health institution. For the public sector, this is government owned and largely financed through a tax-based budgeting system, either national and local government unit. Now, I highlighted here the role of the Department of Health, who releases guidelines that serves as guides and in planning, will be used in planning and also decision-making process in times of pandemic like this COVID-19. And the one I shared you about the effort of my local government unit is in this unit, the municipal government unit can do so much in combating this COVID-19. The private health sector is either for profit and non-profit. And it's largely market-oriented, where healthcare is generally paid through user fee at the point of service. I told you about the Department of Health's role as the one who give guidelines. So one of which, an example is this one, an administrative order from the Department of Health, a guidelines on the risk-based public health standards for COVID-19 mitigation. So the objective of this one is to advising the public to do increasing physical and mental resilience. This is like what I've shared a while ago, providing financial and healthcare support to health workers who contracted COVID-19 at work. And also to reduce transmission, for instance, is staying at home and wearing the personal protective equipment, also hand washing are being advised to the public. Reduce contact, like physical distancing and so mass gathering is also restricted in my country. Reduce duration of infection by doing tracing and quarantine effort, like what the example I shared you a while ago. Now, as to the COVID cases in my country as of August 25 in the developing of this presentation, you can see here the line is so increasing. So actually this day, within this day, it's already 200,000. So it's already up here, the cases. The death, these are the total death, is still increasing. If we say the daily cases, July and August has the most daily cases of COVID. It's really increasing. And this one, we can see the daily deaths. It's so many it picked up in July and in August. It exceeds to 150 in a day. Okay, now in each cases of COVID-19, the DOH say that in every 5 cases, there are 1 health worker. So in this data, it says 2,700, but I guess with this statement, it may be more than. This is just an underestimation. And among of which, there are many nurses who contacted COVID. 32 health workers died of COVID-19 in my country, and maybe more. So the challenges of my country, for instance, in this ideal threshold recommended by the DOH, in every 1,000 population, there should be 1 doctor. But in my country, it's not the case. In 10,000, there should be 10 doctors. But in here, it's only 3.5. In here again, if you join all the health workers, doctor, nurses, midwives, and radtech, in every 10,000, there should be 23 health workers. But here in the Philippines, it's only 19.7. So in the Philippines, the shortage of medical professional is very evident. Okay, also, health facility and health worker issue is a problem. For instance, 10 people is only catered by 1 physician. Also, protective equipment is very lacking, very limited for health worker, and even disease surveillance capacity across countries is also evident. Like the urban areas has the most disease surveillance capacity as compared to the rural area. Okay, so disaster response preparedness plan is also better geared toward typhoons and flood rather than fighting epidemic. This makes it difficult to respond public health emergencies such as this COVID-19. And because disease surveillance capacity is more in the urban area, the urban patient have the higher chances of treatment and survival. Okay. Hello. Okay. So another issue of our problem of my country is a delay. I shared you about the benefit of health worker in my country, but you see there are 4-month delay. There is 4 months delay that this health worker or given the benefit. So our one of the congressmen say this 4-month delay of giving benefits to public health worker may result to demoralization of health workers and the profession. But amidst this, despite these challenges in public health in the country, Filipino health workers still continue doing their job and risking their lives serving the people. Like in this image, the health worker is doing house-to-house immunization. And in this news also, it shows that 21 doctors die in my country, especially the specialized doctor. And this is due, maybe one of the doctors say that they do not receive PPE, they buy their own. And that these doctors are dying because patients do not tell the truth. They don't tell the truth about their condition, and history of exposure. Okay. This is one of the example of doctor who died. He is a cardiologist. So as you can see, he is a specialized doctor. There are few specialized doctor in my country, yet they are dying in this time of pandemic. Okay. Another unfortunate or sad story. This is a nurse who was televised and it was in the national television of our country. She was positive having COVID. So her boarding house, her boarding house evicted her from her house. So she just slept on the streets, in the streets. So I think presently the owner of the house is under investigation. And also we can see here the dedication of some health professional. This is Bautista, a nurse, saying that he says that it is his duty to respond to his calling. Also a midwife saying that she still needs to do her work with her colleague and to meet the needs of their locality. In my conclusion, I say public health system in the Philippines has many problems, and through this COVID-19 pandemic, this problem are reiterated and realized. And I hope that policymaker and the politician, like what Dr. Maha said, it's different. I hope they will realize that to give more attention to health, especially before the pandemic, they cut the budget for health. I hope they realize now the importance of giving funds for health related program. And health professionals are among the at-risk population to COVID-19 disease, and some affected are being discriminated and neglected. This possibly lead to demoralization of the profession. Despite all the problems and challenges, healthcare professionals remain steadfast in the calling to serve. Okay. With that, thank you so much for your attention, and also thank you for the Sikulating Pemkab Jombang School for inviting me. And I want to personally thank Ms. Ratna who invited me to be part of your webinar. And although it's all the sharings I gave here is unfortunate or bad stories of experiences of health worker, but I hope that we will continue to serve, and that we may learn from this experience of my country. I thank you for your attention, and thank you to Dr. Maha also. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Miss Eva Philip Kimok. Very interesting and nice presentation and sharing. Maybe I want to conclusion the brief many conclusion. Yes, maybe the similarity in our country is like two. Yes, the PPA and the problem for the manage and maintain the system for the facing the pandemic in the one wave the pandemic COVID and the second pandemic COVID. Okay, next. I would like to remind, if you have any question for the speaker, please write in the Zoom chat or comment in live streaming YouTube. Mention your name and address to whom the question are. Miss Eva, there are two questions to you. Next, maybe the next session. Yes, okay. And okay, next I would like to invite the second invited speaker, Mr. Rizky Erwanto, Magister Nursing, Community Nursing Specialist from University of Respati, Yogyakarta. Hello, Mr. Rizky Erwanto. Are you in the Zoom meeting room now?
Hello.
Okay, how are you, Mr. Rizky?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Let me introduce Mr. Rizky Erwanto. He lecturer of Respati University, Yogyakarta, co-founder of Yayasan Indonesia Rahmah Lansia, Respati Center for Aging Study, RIKES, And then the present enhancing the role of community health nursing during pandemic COVID-19. Mr. Rizky Erwanto took the education program for University Erlangga at the year graduate in 2009 and 2008. And then he took this Magister Nursing in University Indonesia 2013, and then took Magister Nursing Community Specialist Program in University of Indonesia 2. Year graduate is 2014. Okay, this is the education program from Mr. Rizky Erwanto. There are many publications and articles have by Mr. Rizky Erwanto. Mr. Rizky Erwanto is have one one program is request is all well known is sekolah ramah lansia, yes. And then is very interesting and inspired story like that. Mr. Rizky Eswanto is conference in oral presentation in as participant, as head, and then many other experienced professional. Okay, Mr. Rizky Erwanto, can you ready to present your inspiring story and then sharing your experience, please?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rizky Erwanto, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Anja, for your opportunity. I will share my presentation. Oh. Sorry. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning.
Okay, please, sorry. First of all, I like to thanks to all of the community of this international webinar to give me opportunity as a speaker today. Maybe I will present in Indonesia and gado-gado maybe. Okay. I will present the topic, the role of community health nurses during pandemic COVID-19. Well, according to Stand-Up and Lancaster, community health nurses have some strategic roles in community setting. One of strategic roles of community health nurses is as a change agent. In this occasional, I will explain about how community nursing become agent of change of society. We know the elderly is considered as the vulnerable population. These issues become a challenge for community health nurses. Maybe I will share my experience about the elderly school or sekolah lansia. Okay, we know that based on Global AIDS Index 2015, we know that Indonesia was ranked 9 in Asia with the highest percentage of the elderly. This trend is predicted to continue to increase until 2030. Jadi fenomena-fenomena seperti ini yang menjadi sebuah masalah, mungkin seperti itu. Bukan masalah tapi sebuah peluang begitu. The following is the number of elderly in 2019, which is 9.6% of the total population, and is predicted to continue to increase until 2035. This slide show the percentage of the largest number of elderly in Indonesia based on BPS data in 2019. In Yogyakarta province ranks first in Indonesia. Furthermore, this condition is a challenge as well as an opportunity to develop innovative program for the elderly. Based on BPS, it is found that the dependence ratio, the elderly has increased. In 2019, the dependence ratio was 15.1. It explained that every 15 people, older people were cared for by 1% of productive age. Jadi fenomena seperti ini di mana pada tahun 2019 ada sekitar 15 orang lansia yang dirawat oleh satu peningkatan. Based on the data, our role of as change agent must be able to turn on problem into the opportunity. One of the effort is to form a forum. I create a program is elderly school or sekolah lansia. One of the community nursing intervention strategies is partnership or kemitraan. Partnership is or kemitraan is very important. We can do its partnership by involve three elements. The element is number one is government and academici and or NGO and the private sector. Private sector as private hospital atau rumah sakit swasta. Okay, I will share my experience about the sekolah lansia. Sekolah lansia or elderly school is the provision of the information and practice to the elderly so that the elderly can be happy and prosperous. I wrote a book about elderly school, and we have it, patent and publish our senior or elderly school. The target of elderly school is senior age 16 years and over. The aim of the school for the elderly is the increased knowledge and behavior of the elderly toward health, improve the quality of life and productivity of the elderly, increase independence for aspect of physical, psychological, social, and spiritual health. We involve several facilitator or pengajar di sekolah lansia for the implementation for the elderly school, including doctor, nurse, midwifery, nutritionist, public health, religious leaders, psychologists, physiotherapists, motivator, artist means seni, ahli seni, entrepreneurs. They help me to facilitator to teach elderly in sekolah lansia. This slide illustrates the support and involved of the elderly school program. The support from the governor, Sri Sultan Hamengkubuwono of Yogyakarta, governor of Yogyakarta, and several local government is very less. Di sini kami dukungan dari pemerintah. Kebetulan saya tinggal di Yogyakarta. I'm sorry, maybe I will present gado-gado, Miss Anja.
Okay, never mind.
Oke, kebetulan ini saya didukung penuh memang jadi oleh Bapak Gubernur. Kebetulan memang Yogyakarta memiliki jumlah populasi tertinggi di Indonesia. Kalau kita lihat tadi nomor 2 adalah Jawa Tengah dan nomor 3 adalah Jawa Timur. Jadi Jawa Timur khususnya Jombang ini memang mungkin bisa berpeluang juga bisa mendirikan sekolah lansia atau di sana di Jombang gitu. Dan beberapa pemerintah, katakanlah di sini Komisi Daerah Lansia juga memberikan dukungan penuh, dan juga beberapa kali kami dipanggil untuk mematangkan rancangan peraturan daerah kelanjut usiaan di Yogyakarta. The support of governor is very, very large. We also receive support from the BKKBN and the region, Bupati Kulon Progo, dan kepala BKKBN and several related parties, beberapa pihak-pihak terkait, dan kami membuat sebuah program yang sekarang jadi prioritas di nasional, yaitu adalah ISL PKL, Integrasi Sekolah Lansia Bina Keluarga Lansia, di mana Bina Keluarga Lansia memang sudah program dari BKKBN dan kami integrasikan dengan sekolah lansia. Integration of Elderly School and Elderly Family Development. Okay, next, the senior school are not only in Yogyakarta, but in several big cities such as Malang, Bandung, Jakarta, and maybe I hope in Jombang akan didirikan juga, tidak hanya di Malang, Bandung, Jakarta, tapi juga mungkin bisa juga di Jombang. Dan saat ini juga ada di beberapa di luar Jawa sudah mulai mengimplementasikan pelaksanaan sekolah lansia. Dan semuanya alhamdulillah dihadiri dan didukung penuh oleh pemerintah daerah, terutama di sini kalau di Malang dihadiri langsung oleh Bapak wakil wali kota Malang, Lawang, Singosari, dan dihadiri juga di Bandung di sini oleh Bapak wakil wali kota Bandung. Beberapa bentuk aktivitas atau kegiatannya, ini mohon maaf, ini kegiatan sebelum before pandemi COVID-19, jadi memang kegiatannya memang berkumpul. Nanti kami akan menjelaskan bagaimana pelaksanaan setelah adanya atau selama adanya pandemi COVID-19 seperti ini. Oke, ini adalah beberapa bentuk kegiatannya. Sebagai perawat komunitas, tadi mungkin di awal sudah kami sampaikan bahwa harus inovatif, sebagai agen perubahan, gitu ya. The slide explain about the activities for facilitator atau pengajar giving simulation on disaster management in the elderly. Because in Yogyakarta is an area to vulnerable volcanic disaster and earthquakes, and the most victim are the elderly. Sehingga ini salah satu pesan dari Bapak Gubernur tadi bahwa mohon dimasukkan salah satu kurikulum, yaitu adalah tentang kebencanaan. Begitu kira-kira. Oke, next. In this slide, the facilitator or teacher demonstrate the management of herbal plants into the product that are ready for consumption and distribution. Ini kebetulan kami mengajarkan juga karena nursing itu sangat luas sekali. Kami kolaborasi dengan beberapa teman-teman untuk mengajarkan pelatihan herbal dan mengajarkan kepada lansia untuk membentuk sebuah produk. Produk itu nantinya akan dijual dan didistribusikan. This slide explain about elderly product and the manufacture of washing soap for use cooking oil. Ini adalah bekas dari minyak goreng yang telah dipakai, sudah dipakai berkali-kali. Biasanya kalau orang-orang di desa itu dipakai sampai 10 kali sampai warnanya hitam gitu ya. Sehingga kami coba untuk memodifikasi karena memang orang-orang gitu ya di masyarakat ada persepsi bahwa eman-eman begitu. Eman-eman kalau misalkan itu nanti dibuang sehingga dipakai berkali-kali. Sehingga kami mencoba untuk memfasilitasi terutama beberapa lansia tadi untuk mengolah minyak goreng tadi menjadi sebuah sabun. Bukan sabun mandi tapi sabun untuk cuci piring. Begitu kira-kira. The slide explain about the intergenerational learning. Intergenerational learning involves the children and grandchildren. We together to activities are from drawing, telling stories with the children and grandchildren. Jadi kami mengajak beberapa lansia tadi untuk mengajak cucunya untuk bermain bersama. Artinya di sini adalah untuk menggambar. Ya, salah satu terapi juga di dalam keperawatan yaitu adalah art terapi dengan pendekatan intergenerational learning. After finish school, there will be a senior school graduates process. Jadi sama seperti halnya sekolah pada umumnya, bahwa mereka juga setelah selesai kuliah, bukan perkuliahan, setelah selesai pembelajaran akan diwisuda, gitu, akan diwisuda. Here as an overview in a school in Yogyakarta. They use this car for transportation. Mereka menggunakan transportasi bak terbuka yang biasanya untuk pick up a cow or a goat, untuk mengangkut sapi atau mengangkut ayam atau kambing. Dia digunakan untuk transportasinya. Jadi sangat-sangat luar biasa. Their enthusiasm to go to elderly school is very high. Sangat sangat benar-benar senang sekali untuk bisa mengikuti sekolah lansia, apapun caranya untuk bisa dilakukan seperti itu. Dan ini adalah bentuknya untuk pertama kali wisuda sekolah lansia tahun kemarin. Ini adalah tahun 2019 kemarin dan ini dihadiri oleh Bupati Kabupaten Sleman. Kebetulan kemarin juga the graduation process. This is the graduation process for the elderly school. In this photo was attended by 8 countries. Jadi dihadiri oleh 8 negara. Kebetulan di Universitas Respati Jakarta ada seminar internasional dan juga kami untuk hari keduanya adalah menghadiri graduation elderly school. Nah, this is the most historical thing in the life of the elderly who attend school for the elderly, even though they never went to formal school, but were graduated by professor and advanced age expert from Asia Pacific. Jadi meskipun tidak banyak sekali, bahkan hampir 80% tidak sekolah formal, tidak sekolah, tapi sangat luar biasa sekali diwisuda oleh beberapa ahli 8 negara, ada yang profesor juga. Luar biasa sekali. And this the most elderly school graduation process was 242 students. And she is Mbah Mijem. Mbah Mijem is the oldest 104 years old cum laude school participant and never absent even though she come using tongkat. Ya, jadi kemana-mana menggunakan tongkat stick menggunakan kerak dan semangatnya sangat luar biasa sekali. And in August last year, we were invited to Hitam Putih television program sama dengan 2 siswa sekolah lansia. Kebetulan kemarin adanya sekolah lansia mungkin menjadi pionir karena memang belum ada, sehingga kami diundang oleh tim Hitam Putih dan disuruh untuk mempresentasikan seperti apa kira-kira pelaksanaan sekolah lansia. Dan yang sangat luar biasa sekali bahwa dipilih 2 orang lansia, simbahnya tadi diajak dan baru pertama kali pergi ke Jakarta dan baru pertama kali naik pesawat terbang. Jadi sangat lucu sekali kemarin pengalamannya. Awalnya tidak mau untuk naik pesawat ke Jakarta dari Jakarta, maunya adalah naik sepeda motor. Naik sepeda motor. Akhirnya kami jelaskan, itu sangat jauh sekali, Mbak. Sehingga tidak memungkinkan kalau naik sepeda motor. Dan itu baru pertama kali di naik pesawat. Dan kami benar-benar mendampingi bagaimana caranya mengajak dua lansia tadi ke Jakarta. Okay. And the following are teaching activities. The elderly school in the era of the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. Okay. I will describe to how to elderly school learning in the COVID pandemic. And the pandemic COVID, the elderly school is running using the WhatsApp group and video on the YouTube. Jadi tetap berjalan, tapi pelaksanaannya kami menggunakan WhatsApp dan YouTube. Jadi sangat luar biasa sekali karena ada beberapa lansia yang memang tidak memiliki handphone, sehingga kami perlu mendata anaknya atau cucunya yang memiliki handphone, sehingga bisa dilaksanakan. Bagaimana yang tidak memiliki handphone? Nah, ini baru bulan Agustus kemarin, in August, the first class of elderly school was carried offline. Adaptasi kebiasaan baru. Kami mencoba untuk melaksanakan baru pertama kali 2 minggu yang lalu terkait dengan pelaksanaan offline, tentunya dengan menggunakan protokol kesehatan yang ketat. The participants still follow strict health protocol, keep their physical distancing, use masks, and washing their hands before and after finish class. Okay, this slide shows an overview of the activities of elderly school and teacher and participant in the COVID-19 era. Ini adalah seorang pengajar, bagaimana mengajarkan, dan sangat-sangat hati-hati sekali, dan waktu pelaksanaan tidak lebih dari 1 jam. Oke. Nah, ini adalah aktivitas berkebun, salah satu kurikulum masuk one of the senior school kurikulum, yaitu adalah gardening therapy, dan kami ajarkan ini adalah hasil produk dari lansia, karena sebagian besarnya di Kulon Progo Yogyakarta, lansia banyak yang punya kambing peternakan, sehingga hasilnya ini dijadikan sebagai pupuk. Kami undang dinas pertanian untuk memberikan edukasi kepada beberapa lansia dan diajarkan bagaimana caranya mengolah pupuk tadi, bagaimana caranya mengolah tanaman-tanaman sawit, terong, dan hasilnya ini nantinya akan dijual minimal kami membantu untuk memasarkan hasil beberapa produk lansia tersebut. Nah, ini juga yang kami kembangkan. Jadi kami bekerja sama dengan pemuda, elderly school activities, empowerment youth to process waste into eco-brick. Jadi bagaimana mengajak para pemuda tadi untuk mengumpulkan. Jadi beberapa lansia tadi datang ke sekolah lansia dengan membawa sampah. Jadi makanya pelaksanaannya adalah sekolah lansia dengan sedekah sampah. Jadi beberapa sampah yang dibawa, jadi nggak bawa uang, tapi membawa sampah. Hasil dari sampah yang dibawa oleh lansia tadi dikumpulkan dan dikolektif oleh para pemuda. Hasil sampah tadi ditimbang, dijadikan eco-brick. Ini adalah eco-brick bentuknya, dan nanti hasil eco-bricknya ini dijual kembali. Jadi 1 botol ini harganya 1.500 sampai 2.000. Jadi ini yang dikelola, hasil dari penjualan tadi dikembalikan lagi kepada lansia. Jadi ada 2 masalah yang bisa teratasi, yaitu adalah masalah kesehatan dari lansia sendiri dan masalah dari sampah. Gitu. Dan ini adalah lansia subproduct dari beberapa lansia produk-produk lansia tadi kami coba untuk jual. Mungkin ini masih sederhana ya menjualnya, masih dalam bentuk Instagram ke Instagram, dan kedepannya nanti dalam bentuk aplikasi. This is the result of elderly product, the managed and sold and the elderly shop, the website on Instagram. Okay, I think enough. Thank you very much for your attention. Terima kasih banyak, Miss Anja. Terima
Okay.
kasih. Saya akhiri. Selamat siang. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Inspiring, very inspiring. Yes, we are now can imagine gitu ya, how the role of the community health nurse in our environment, and then we know that we must increase knowledge, behavior, and then activity daily life to maintain the quality of Rizky Erwanto for the inspiring and sharing.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Iswanto, can you hear me?
Hold on. Wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Iswanto Karso. He from Mental Health Department of Stikes Pemkab Jombang to present the psychological response of nurse during the COVID-19 pandemic. As we know that the last discussion is mental health is important, like that. Yeah. Let me introduce the speaker by reading the curriculum vitae. Mr. Iswanto Karso from Jombang. He born in Indonesia, and then the education program from Diploma of Nursing Pemkab Jombang, Bachelor of Nursing University of Technology Sydney, and Master of Advanced Nursing University of Nottingham, UK. And then he have many professional experience, and then many publication and article. He lectured at Stikes Pemkab Jombang until now, and then registered nurse at Liverpool Hospital, NSW, Australia. Okay, Mr. Iswanto Karso, are you ready to present your the topic now?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Anja. But before that, let me try to share my PowerPoint first. Let me check it here.
Okay. We still with Mr. Iswanto to prepare the PowerPoint. Once again, I would like to remind that if you have any question for the speaker, please write in the Zoom chat or comment in live streaming YouTube. Mention your name and institution address.
Hello? Huh?
Yes.
Hello?
I can hear clear your voice.
Okay. I think my PowerPoint was ready. So is it okay for me to start presentation?
Okay, Mr. Iswanto Karso, the time is yours. Please your presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Anja. My title today is the psychological response of nurses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Before I continue, forgive me if in the next presentation, sometimes I use both mix between English and Indonesia. So I think it is more clear if I explain both in English and Indonesia, because some words I cannot explain in English and I don't understand in English, so I think it's best to use in Indonesia. Okay. That's my name, Iswanto Karso. My specialty is in mental health meeting. So my topic today is about psychological. Okay, the first thing I would like to highlight is the uncertainty of COVID-19. The uncertainty is in Indonesia we call it ketidakpastian. What does it mean uncertainty? Sometimes as nurses, if we face in hospital,
Okay, I'm
for
sorry,
example,
Mr. Iswanto.
Look after the.
Your voice is not clear.
Yeah.
Can you speak louder, please? Maybe the connection.
Okay.
Okay, I can clear. Yeah, clear.
Is it more clear now?
Yes. Okay, I can
hear you. Is it more clearer now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my first slide is about the uncertainty of COVID-19. Uncertainty means in Indonesia is ketidakpastian. We call it ketidakpastian. What does it mean? As a nurse in hospital, we face a lot of disease. We are in the front line of looking after patients because we 24 hours beside the patient. So we face a lot of disease. Some diseases are certain, pasti, and some diseases are uncertain. For example, if we compare about diabetes, heart attack, and other like renal failure, we are able to face it and we don't care about the infection. I mean, the inspection is only for the patient. And nosocomial, for the nosocomial infection, we can avoid it that by the universal precaution. But for the COVID-19, the COVID-19 is more challenging disease because the uncertainty, ketidakpastian, we cannot know when we are infected or when we are not infected. Like the other disease, sometimes we can understand the disease, but for the COVID, we cannot find the certainty. A lot of nurses fear about the COVID-19 because of what? Because COVID-19 is a life-threatening situation. Nurses are often dealing with life-threatening situation, but only for patients. What about if the life-threatening situation are facing by nurses itself? That's more demanding. Why? Because if people are contact with the nurses are prone to get infected by COVID-19. Those nurses are facing the life-threatening situation also. The next slide. I just want to highlight. I found the good cartoon in the website, and then I just put it here that we can see in the screen that a lot of superheroes, they bow their head for the healthcare professional. Why they bow? Because they feel that nurses today are in the front line to do war, double quote, war with the COVID-19. Why what is the superheroes does? Superheroes do, so they will call it superhero. Hold on. Superhero they are trained, they're training, mereka dilatih, they train to face the life and death situation, to protect the other people. What about nurse? Nurse are not, double quote, trained for the life-threatening situation for themselves. They are trained for the life-threatening situation of patient, but not for themselves. So when COVID-19 exists today in our country, of course, nurses will face a lot of pressure. Why? Because they face something that all people are afraid of, which is death. As we know on the statistics, we can see that more than 100 nurses die from COVID-19 worldwide. And these numbers, if we hear from our country, maybe the number are more because some numbers are not reported because of the political thing. So they try to decrease the number of people died from the COVID. I think this 600 nurses data 1 month ago, and I don't know today, maybe more than that. What does it mean? Means that nurses are facing the life-threatening situation by look after COVID-19 patient. The next topic is how to deal with the uncertainty. Bagaimana mengatasi ketidakpastian. The first is we can take action over the things you can control. What does it mean? Means that people are infected or not infected, died or not, is not something that we can control. But what is something that we can control? Something that we can control is how to protect ourselves from nosocomial infection. By what? By maximizing the UP, universal precaution. And then the next is challenge you need. Hold on. A challenge you need for certainty. I mean, we can do something that certainty. I mean, lakukan sesuatu yang pasti saja. What is certain? Which is control. I mean, maximize the universal precaution. Maximizing how to protect yourself from to get infected by the COVID-19. Jadi maksimalkan yang pasti. Yang pasti apa? Maksimalkan proteksi diri dengan universal precaution UP kalau kita bilangnya. The next one is learn to accept the uncertainty. Belajar menerima ketidakpastian. What I mean by uncertainty is the death. I mean, we know that the statistic before that more than 600 nurses are died from the COVID-19. And this also may happen to us as a nurse who work in the hospital. So what to prepare mentally is how to accept that we one day may get infected by the COVID-19. That's the worst scenario. Then the next one is focus on the present. I mean, today we look after patient, but the infection, for example, if you're afraid about the infection, we need to understand that infection or not is not our control. Jadi terinfeksi apa tidak itu bukan ranah kita. I mean, ranah kita adalah how to maximize the uncertainty. Then the last one is the manage stress and the anxiety. Of course, nurses are not alone in the hospital. They have families, they have kids, they have children, they have parents, and then they come home. Of course, they will get stress and anxiety because they will contact with the people at their home. Everyday life, as you know, that nurses work in the hospital from Monday to Friday, sometimes Monday to Monday, and only have one day off. So the possibility for them to contact with the COVID-19 patient is high. So managing stress and anxiety is also the important thing for the nurses. I think enough for me, not too much. Thank you very much for the time, and then I give it back to the moderator, Mrs. Anja. Thank you, Mrs. Anja.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Iswanto Karso, great presentation. I get the point, how to maintain the mental health during pandemic. Yeah, the first manage the take the action, the thing can control, and then learn to accept uncertainty, and then focus on the present, and then manage the stress and anxiety. Okay. Maybe we the next, the last invited speakers, Mrs. Madiha Mukhtar, registered nurse, Master of Science in Nursing, from Principal Gulf College of Nursing, Pakistan, to present workplace high institution during COVID-19 outbreak. Let me introduce invited speakers by reading her curriculum vitae. Mrs. Madiha Mukhtar from Pakistan. Okay. Yes, okay. This is the email of Mrs. Madiha Mukhtar. Can you contact her and then the education professional, Mrs. Madiha Mukhtar. Next. Master in Nursing Management, and then in Erlangga University, and then from Lia Kuen National Hospital, the first division, and from 3 years to general nursing from Lia Kuen National Hospital, and then the 1 year 8 nurse from NIH Karachi in 2005. Okay, next. There are many responsibility and publish an article from Madiha Mukhtar. Okay, I think enough. Okay, let me. I want to say apologize to all audience now, that for now Mrs. Madiha Mukhtar cannot join us directly because she has something matters that cannot be left out. But don't worry, she sends a video presentation. Let's see together the video presentation from Mrs. Madiha Mukhtar.
Everyone, I hope you all are doing well. I'm very pleased to be a part of this webinar in Indonesia. So I'm especially thankful to Suprilia, who had invited me to participate in this webinar. So it's really my pleasure. So today I'm going to talk about the work policy in Pakistan during this COVID situation. So we are very much similar to the worldwide situation. The outbreak was firstly known in March 2020. So the government policy which we were following is that the first 2 weeks in March 2020, it was like a complete lockdown. It's what we can say is the level 2 lockdown. So at that time, the institutes were closed and the faculty and of course the students and all other activities were shut down. So we must follow the government policies to eradicate or to minimize the outcomes of this outbreak. And after 2 weeks, the government extended for 2 more weeks for the lockdown. So, but they had a little bit ease that, you know, we can work in a government institute at a government institute in like different kind of policies. So with the skeleton staff, you can work in your institutions or in other government offices. So we also open up with our skeleton staff, like for administration and for the faculty members, but students were not allowed at that time still. After Eid al-Fitr, there were like a huge outbreak in Pakistan because the population or the people here, they didn't follow the rules, and they go to the markets and they had, you know, for the shopping and etc. So there were like a huge amount of outbreak after Eid al-Fitr. So afterward, there were 4 weeks of a strict lockdown where we cannot go anywhere, but still we had opened up our institutions with the skeleton staff. Like for example, I being a head of this institute, I was coming here every day, but of course following the SOPs. And what was the SOPs during the whole duration? It was like you have to wear the mask, of course, either it's like N95 or either a regular mask, but you have to wear. The second thing is we were maintaining the distance, and the third most important thing was we have to make sure that we are, you know, washing our hands frequently, or after touching any documents, or after, you know, signing it, or after going here and there. So we were cleaning our hands like, I don't know, many times. But of course, Alhamdulillah, no one was positive in our institutes. But yes, we do have some of their family members which were positive with COVID-19. But they were survived, Alhamdulillah. No one in my knowing that who were died because of, you know, COVID. I would like to mention 2 or 3 things here. That one is that we have like, the people were not serious in initial stage. They were making fun out of this situation, to be honest. Then when the outbreak was really outbusted after Eid al-Fitr, the people were very serious after that, and they had followed all the precautions which the government had announced or instructed. So in our institute, after Eid al-Adha, we are resuming our activities, because all the activities which were with students who are in basic programs, like for example, we have an LHV program, and which is called Lady Health Visitor Programs, like which is responsible for the community health. So for those students, we had resumed our some student activities. For example, we had made their groups. They are 13 number in one batch, so we are resuming for them. They can come in 2 or 3 groups divided with the different days. So they can come and discuss, and teachers can also indulge them in activities. As we know that all the exams were postponed by the university, because we are affiliated with another university, and we are also affiliated for the clinicals with our hospital. But alhamdulillah, our hospital, if it has some corona patients, so there is a referral system. There were the another hospital in a satellite city, which the government was nominated for the COVID patients. So if any of the patient or any of the person who had positive COVID, I mean positive with COVID, so we refer them to that specified hospital. So no patient were here. And the government also applied this rule that if somebody is working, some nurses or doctors or paramedics are working in the unit where the COVID patients or the COVID positive patients are there, so they had 15 days break after their 15 days they have to work, and 15 days they are on their break, so they don't need to work in 15 days. And lastly and most importantly, not lastly, like there are many things I can share with you, but the thing is that our students were supposed to be examined on 28th March by the university, but that were postponed till June 2020. But in June, the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan is not allowed them to take exams or to gather people at one place. So it is again postponed. Now we are expecting it in November. But the government has announced lastly, in the last announcement, the schools or the colleges will be resumed in the mid of September, coming month, inshallah. Because the economy was slowing down, the students at their homes, they are like, when you have no activity or no any continue education, so they were forgetting everything. So we want to resume it up little by little. The government will announce, but some of the private institution I have seen that they are following the policies and they are implementing some of their activities, not in the gathering, but of course in a small group activities, or the activities which they can follow the rules or the SOPs. We are also planning from the coming month that we will send our students to the clinicals, because if their exams are due on November this year, so how they can be prepared with their case books or the case studies or the other studies which they are, because they haven't done their clinical even one day. So we have to keep that in mind too, that we are going to send them probably, maybe when the government will lift up this situation. So we are hoping from September mid, and yeah, I think that's all from my side. I wish you very good luck to all of you with the good health, and please be safe and follow the precautions or the SOPs or the rules which your government is implicating for you, because even though we have little knowledge about this virus, but at least we know that being a nurses or being a health professionals, we know that hand washing and the distance or all that things have has very importance in our, I think, daily routine, regardless of corona. So I wish you very good luck, and thank you very much. And again, I'm very pleased to be part of this webinar. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, thank you for the video from Mrs. Madiha Muhtar. Can you conclude with the policy and institution? We want to follow the SOP and study from home, and then the wearing mask, and then social distancing, and then she was hand frequently, and then all the audience hopefully hopefully want to hope that COVID-19 is end in September or as soon as possible. Okay. Now we are going to the next section. Second section is divided. Is section discussion. It is divided by two sections, and there are three questions in each section. Okay. The first question I want to. Okay. The first question from Mrs. Maha, Dr. Maha. Thank you for the sharing information. Yeah, yes. The question from Mrs. Maha to Mrs. Eva. Why golden standard diagnosis, not screening, swab, PCR? Can you answer, please, Mrs. Eva?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah, I forgot to acknowledge you, ma'am, for your kind introduction a while ago.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, thank you for your kind introduction.
Okay.
I don't know if I talked so fast a while ago. I just like.
No, thank you. No.
Okay. So I hope you got my my presentation and understood some of it. Okay.
Never mind.
Now there are, I guess, I'm not an active I'm not an active health worker in my country. I am a midwife by profession, but I am in the academe for many years. Although I became a public health midwife for quite a while, for at least half year. So yeah, I don't have much exposure this time in terms of the COVID. But as I learned from my other colleagues back home, they have two types of testing. We have the rapid test and the other test. There are two kinds. And now the question was,
why golden standard diagnosis, not screening, swab, PCR?
Yeah, the PCR tests. I'm sorry if I cannot answer that much of the testing.
Okay.
I don't have so much technical knowledge on the testing, but as according to my fellow health workers, they do the testing like the PCR in my country. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Miss Eva. Never mind. Maybe the next question from Mrs. Ratna. Can you please answer the question based on your PowerPoint presentation? The graphs show that increase of the cases indication the second wave of COVID-19. In your opinion, why is this happen? And then, what is the government response in the second wave of COVID-19?
Okay, let me share you my screen first.
Okay.
In this presentation, you can see the total test is 2 million already. So compared to other countries in the Southeast Asia, I'm happy to see that it is more than 2 million tests. So one factor of having the many cases of how do I exit this share? Oh, maybe Yeah, okay. Having that data, it says that it is really increasing because of the testing capacity has increased for the last couple of months. So that's one factor. The more we teach more population, the more we can detect many cases. And another factor is I think the implementation is not, the implementation of health standard is not implemented properly, or it's lacking or limited. For instance, like what I've shared, personal protective equipment is limited in my country, especially the health workers. They have limited equipment for that. Okay, and as a health worker who experienced serving the public in my country, I am not happy to share you that really most of the people I worked with do not follow protocol. They sometimes they don't follow what is advised them to do. For instance, for wearing the mask, a lot of news in my country do not follow it. If authorities would look at them, that's the time they would wear the mask, for instance. Okay, and I just want to share you, because we together with Ratna today, we are studying here in Taiwan. In our school, Kaohsiung Medical University here in Taiwan, we see the idea, we say the most like better health facility in here. So for instance, in our school here at KMU, we see in everywhere there is a washing area. There is alcohol everywhere. In every floor, there are sanitation, rubbing alcohol, for instance. There are detergent everywhere. There are washing area every floor, everywhere. And they don't allow people to ride the bus, for instance, to ride the bus if they don't have if they don't wear mask, and they will be fined if they are caught not wearing it. Okay, also in the train station. So everywhere here, not only in the school, also the church, in every church here, they require the people to wear masks and do social distancing and get contact details of people, so that if there is pandemic and contact tracing, monitoring also in surveillance, it's very fast, and all population will be informed. Now, given all of this that we observe here in this country, I am very, very sad about my country, because we don't have those things. The bus cannot, I mean, I don't know if they checked on their passenger, if they're really wearing the protective equipment, like the minimum requirement of having the mask. And also schools, institution, offices in the Philippines doesn't have enough washing area. There's no sink, there's no faucet, limited water to wash their hands. So those simple sanitation practices is limited, and it's not accessible to everyone. Yeah, so maybe those are the factors as per my observation as a health worker back home. And now that I am here, I can see the difference. I have to correct that in the country, we are not still in the second wave. Still, we are in the increasing graph. We did not yet have the peak and declining. No, still increasing, maybe because of the capacity of testing. Though it's still still difficult this time, but at least the testing capacity is increasing. That's why we can test more people. Yeah, we are not in the second wave yet. Yeah, that's all, ma'am, for that question.
Okay, thank you. I get the point there. There's like that. Maybe the third question for Mrs. Eva too, from
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Tony from Malang, East Java.
Yes.
I heard from my friend from Filipino that President Duterte punishment the people not obey the rule of COVID-19. Can you explain, please, Miss Eva?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that question and all the question previously. Thank you. Now, maybe you heard a lot of, we say, bad news or unfortunate news about my country. I cannot deny that those are, I mean, some are true. And I think in every country we have these challenges and difficulties in this crisis. Economic drops and source of income are dropping. All the people complain, and we are in the stress level and anxiousness and everything. Sometimes mental health, as other speakers say, really it's happening in my country because of stress. We don't know what will happen in the future. Opening of classes now, it's they want to open classes, and we don't know what will happen in the future. Now, for that question, I don't have anything to share about our president, but at least I appreciate him because with a lot of poor families in the Philippines, there was two times of giving cash assistance to poor families. So that's one effort that I saw. Also, he built a centralized committee who look for job challenges. There are different agencies that will answer to each aspect of our concern in the country facing this pandemic, because this pandemic would cause people losing their job, people cannot go abroad to work, and many more. Also the health. So each agencies, there is a task force to at least monitor and look for ways on how to deal with it. So I shared you the efforts of the government also, like donating their salaries and all the stuff, the fundraising effort of the vice president. Now for the punishment, there are really people who don't follow protocol. Now, it's not the president's I can how will I say it?
Okay.
We have the local government unit, and all local government units are authorized. They can impose regulation. Like in my small town back home, if there are all the mayors, municipal mayors are authorized by the national government to answer, to regulate all the things, all the effort in their local government units. Now, I will speak for my local government unit. Our mayor, if people will not follow regulation, they are caught. Now, to punish them, they will go for planting trees, community service, and that's their punishment, community service. But as to like inhumane punishment, I didn't hear any yet. Now, today there are many fake news and real news. You don't know which is true or not. But at least I'm telling the truth as per my from my hometown. So yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Miss Eva. I hope it's clear. Yes. Okay, maybe the next section, Q&A section. I want to explain, and then I want to read the question to Mr. Erwanto. 3 questions. Yes. First question to Mr. Erwanto from Mrs. Nurul Hidayah. What made you interested to establishing an elderly school, and what difficult things often occur in elderly school? How to solve them? Yes, maybe can you explain the background? You can we get sharing background request sekolah ramah lansia ya. Okay. Please, Mr. Erwanto, can you answer the question?
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I will answer in bahasa Indonesia.
Okay,
okay.
Please.
I'm sorry.
Never mind.
Oke. Baik, saya akan mencoba untuk menjawab dengan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia. Jadi ada beberapa kesulitan begitu ya, Bu Anja ya.
Yeah,
kira-kira apa kira-kira kendala atau kesulitan dalam pelaksanaan sekolah lansia.
Yeah.
Jadi selama ini terkait dengan kesulitan hampir tidak ada, gitu kan. Jadi yang menjadi kendala adalah dari SDM sendiri bahkan, gitu ya. Karena sifatnya kami mengelola atau membentuk sekolah lansia itu adalah sosial. Karena memang sosial, kami lakukan beberapa pendekatan dan dengan keterbatasan tadi fasilitator yang memang sangat terbatas sehingga kalau cuma 1-2 tempat nggak masalah. Kadang dalam 1 hari bisa terlaksana lebih dari 10. Sedangkan SDM-nya bisa kurang dari 10 sehingga kami ya agak kesulitannya di situ. Tapi semua kesulitan bisa kami atasi dengan cara memplanning. Memang pelaksanaannya tidak setiap hari. Jadi pelaksanaan sekolah lansia tergantung kesepakatan antara tutor, pengajar dengan peserta sekolah lansia. Misalnya disepakati 1 bulan sekali atau 2 minggu sekali, yang selama ini kami lakukan seperti itu. Sehingga secara akademik ada kurikulumnya, itu selama 6 bulan pertama atau 3 bulan pertama siapa pengajarnya, itu sudah kami sudah kami plotkan. Kira-kira seperti itu. Terkait dengan kendala, terkait dengan background atau latar belakang, ya latar belakang itu juga menjadi kendala yang kedua karena memang sasaran kami adalah lansia, para lansia yang notabene adalah tidak bersekolah, banyak sekali, sekitar 80% memang tidak sekolah, sehingga perlu ekstra sekali dalam mengolah materi yang akan kami ajarkan kepada lansia. Jadi perlu pelan-pelan sekali, kalau misalkan bahasanya terlalu tinggi ya perlu diturunkan. Sehingga pada saat kita membentuk sekolah lansia, assessment itu sangat penting sekali. Assessment terkait dengan tingkat pendidikan, terkait dengan tingkat kesehatan, masalah kesehatan yang ada di sana. Sehingga pada saat kami melakukan, sehingga tahu, oh ternyata lansia yang akan kami ajar background-nya adalah tidak sekolah, hampir semuanya tidak sekolah, sehingga tidak mungkin kalau saya menggunakan slide berbahasa Indonesia, sehingga lebih banyak share, karena tujuan dari sekolah lansia adalah bukan untuk semata-mata meningkatkan pengetahuan, tapi bagaimana memfasilitasi, membentuk sebuah wadah supaya lansia itu lebih diperhatikan, karena selama ini lansia dianggap sebagai kelompok yang, mohon maaf, sudah tidak berguna lagi. Itu masalah-masalah itulah yang kami fasilitasi dan kami angkat, gitu kira-kira.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I want to ask you again, how long the sekolah lansia until graduated program? Maybe you can share it.
Oke. Rata-rata untuk pelaksanaannya, jadi kami membuat kurikulum gitu ya. Kurikulumnya terkait dengan pelaksanaannya itu macam-macam sebenarnya. Jadi kurang lebih 9 bulan nanti selesai. Ada yang 8 bulan nanti selesai. Ada beberapa tahapannya seperti itu. Jadi ada beberapa tahapan kurikulum yang memang kami kemas dan kami sesuaikan dengan kondisi yang ada di masyarakat. Setelah selesai kami evaluasi, ada raportnya. Setelah selesai dinyatakan lulus baru graduation. begitu.
Okay, thank you. This is the second question to Mr. Erwanto from Mrs. Ratna. Considering the high mortality rate of elderly in the pandemic and the psychosocial and spiritual needs of elderly, please share the methods to prevent pandemic in elderly but not limited their needs. Okay, maybe you can explain, Mr. Erwanto.
Okay, Bu Ratna, how are you? Artinya Bu Ratna ini adalah senior kami di UNER dulu. Baik, kami akan mencoba untuk menjawab. Sorry, I will in Indonesia, Bu Anja. Ya, kita ketahui bahwa elderly termasuk kelompok yang berisiko at risk population atau exposed COVID-19. Sehingga hal itu memang benar-benar harus diperhatikan. Jadi peran dari role of the family and society in the community, peran masyarakat ataupun keluarga itu sangat penting sekali. Terlebih di era pandemik. Sehingga ada beberapa anggapan bahwa katakanlah yang selama ini banyak sekali lansia yang stres karena angka kematiannya memang tinggi, mortality rates-nya highest for the elderly, dan juga stres karena tidak boleh kemana-mana, physical distancing, gitu ya. Sehingga itu perlu peran dari keluarga. Kenapa sih? Kenapa lansia kok tidak boleh keluar? Perlu dijelaskan. Family explain the pandemic COVID-19 for the elderly. Why they must use masker? Kenapa harus menggunakan masker? Kenapa cucunya pada saat Lebaran tidak boleh balik? Nah, itu sangat stres sekali. Saya sendiri juga seperti itu. Orang tua saya juga stres karena juga sudah lansia. Kenapa kok nggak balik sampai sekarang juga nggak berani balik karena area Jogja, Jawa Timur katanya kalau Jawa Timur itu area merah, zona merah begitu, dipukul rata, sehingga kalau saya balik ke sana nanti nggak bisa balik ke Jogja lagi. Ya, seperti itu anggapan-anggapan, sehingga kami memfasilitasi. Sekarang sudah ada zaman yang canggih, we use video call, communicate by the elderly, video call minimal sehari sekali, sehari 2 kali. Awal-awalnya seperti itu. Ini anak saya nggak pernah mengunjungi saya, ada apa? Kenapa saya harus dilakukan di rumah terus ini? Sehingga hal itulah yang kami terapkan di sekolah lansia pun juga seperti itu. Banyak sekali yang stres. Kenapa nggak diselenggarakan lagi? Sehingga kami mencoba untuk melaksanakan mengubah untuk metode, tetap sharing informasi kepada lansia dengan menggunakan WA group tadi melalui anaknya. Seperti itu kira-kira.
Oke, thank you, Mr.
Dan baru
Erwanto.
pertama kali kemarin bulan Agustus memberanikan diri setelah ada izin dari pemerintah bahwa Yogyakarta area ini aman, sehingga kami lakukan edukasi kepada lansia tadi. Begitu. Memang sangat stres sekali kalau misalkan tidak diberi pengertian gitu. Oke, thank you very much.
Thank you. My next question from Miss Nia to Mr. Iswanto Karso. How to manage stress and anxiety with uncertainty? Maybe especially to nurse. Yeah. Mr. Iswanto, can you get the question? How to manage stress and anxiety?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Anja. The question is how to manage stress and anxiety. Is that right?
Yes, especially to nurse with the uncertainty like that.
Okay, a second. I just want to open my PowerPoint first. I think people are not free from stress and anxiety. Not only nurse, but all people. We face the stress situation everyday life. If like for like when we work, when we study, when we have an exam, we all have the stress situation. But for the COVID-19, the stress is really high. Why? Because people who are infected by COVID-19 are will face the worst scenario, which is the death. So that's why the stress is really high. But how to manage that stress? I think in my presentation, how to manage stress is light. I mean, ada the first, second, and third, and fourth point. That's the conclusion of how to manage, which is one, take action over the things you can control. I mean, pilih tindakan yang kalian bisa kontrol, which is like maximizing the universal precaution. As we know that COVID-19 is virus, and for normal people like us, virus is something that we cannot see. Jadi virus sesuatu yang tidak bisa kita lihat. So that make the COVID-19 more uncertain, tidak pasti. We cannot know that we are infected or not. So the important thing, the first is take action over the thing you can control. I mean, just focus on something you can control. Don't focus on the COVID-19, but focus on how to protect yourself from COVID-19. And then the very important thing to manage stress is deal with the worst scenario. What is the worst scenario, which is the death? How to deal it? We can see on the third point, which is learn to accept the worst scenario. I mean, if you already accept the worst scenario, then the stress will reduce, gradually. I think that's my point.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr.
Give it back to Mrs. Anja.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Iswanto, for the answer. Okay, the last question for you, Mr. Iswanto, from Mrs. Nurul. I've heard that nurse who are confirmed positive for COVID-19 with the symptom and without symptom get different experience about psychological effect. Experience about psychological effect is where in nurse with symptom have severe stress until insomnia. Please give your opinion about that. And what have they do face the stress?
Excuse me. Let me try to
again. Okay.
Say the question. Yeah.
Yes.
The question is about the stress effect. I mean, stress effect between nurses and others. Is that true? I mean, nurses, is it hard to get sleep, something like that?
Not. I heard that nurses who are confirmed, nurse confirmed positive for COVID-19 with symptom and without symptom. And then many different experience psychological effect to nurses with the symptom. This severe, stressful until cannot sleep or getting insomnia. Please give your opinion about that.
Okay. Thank you. I can get the question. I think we are talking about the effect of the stress, like insomnia or something like that. If people are experience the effect of the stress, if they know that they will, they are on the way to the worst scenario. What is the worst scenario? Skenario terburuk for people who are got the COVID-19. The worst scenario is the death. Is that right? Ya, jadi resiko terburuk COVID adalah kematian. And people who have the symptom, orang yang punya simptom they understand that they are infected by the COVID, and then they will face the worst scenario. So that's why they are really stressful. Then people who are not have symptoms. Why? Because if people who don't have symptom of COVID, they think that they will have nothing. I mean, ketika orang, sorry ini Indonesia, right ya, sometimes mix ya. Ketika orang tanpa gejala, maka mereka berpikir bahwa saya aman dari COVID. So, is it far away from the worst scenario? Mereka masih jauh dari kematian. They think that they still far away from the death. That's why the people who have the symptom are more stressful than people who are not have symptoms. I think that my question, I hope that my answer is can answer the question.
Okay,
Thank you. I
yes.
give it back to Mrs. Anja.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Iswanto Kaso, for the answer. Okay, I think many questions from all audience, but the time is limited. Okay, all of the question is answered by the speaker. Thank you all the questioners, and finally, we come at the last session to this international webinar 20 and 20. Thank you to all audience for your participants, and then the committee for holding these events, and all of invited speakers for the extraordinary presentation and sharing. Hopefully, the information that we have shared today will be useful for all of us. And I would like to apologize for my mistakes when serving as your moderator today. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Then it's time for the MC now. Please, Miss In.
Okay, thank you very much for Miss Anja Hesnia Kholis for guiding this plenary discussion. Attention for all of the audience that please fill the evaluation that the link already we share into WhatsApp group and Zoom or YouTube. Okay, that's all the international webinar today. The certificate will be given to the participants for about a week after the webinar. Since we wait the SKP and manage it, we will share the link of the certificate on WhatsApp group or Telegram. So please don't leave the group before the link have been shared. I think enough for this international webinar today. We wish it can give more information about COVID-19 pandemic, and we will meet again in the international webinar next year. Thank you very much for all of the professional speakers, Ms. Maha, Ms. Eva, Mr. Rizky, and Mr. Iswanto. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you to see in this international webinar meeting. Please forgive me if I have many mistakes. Thank you very much for your attention.